Bengtsson from Södertörn Hogskola. She's going to be talking about constructing a civic place in commercial environment, Malmö in Second Life.
Hello everyone. I am also going to, just like Maria, tell a story about a specific case. A case that took place very close to where we are now, some 10 kilometers from Lund, namely the Swedish city of Malmö, which normally has 2 dots on it, on the O at the end. For some 10 to 12 months, Malmö had a virtual version in the virtual world Second Life called Malmö in Second Life. And I'm going to tell you about this project, which was actually a project to create civic engagement and to communicate with the citizens in this new media environment. And as you can see, I have the 2 subtitles. One is called Notes on a Public Failure, or a failed project. And no matter who you ask, I would actually think that everyone would say that this is actually a failed project. And the kind of answer you would get, of course, depends on who you. If you ask the Malmö administration, for example, if you ask mainstream media, if you ask the independent media, blogs, etc., or comments to other articles, and also if you ask the in-world media, the media within Second Life, or the users, of course, within Second Life. The theoretical discussion I would like to take as a vantage point for my discussion here is the ongoing discussion about participatory culture as either emancipatory, empowering, creating or restructuring power balances between traditional producers and consumers or users using the new media, or on the other hand, only hiding the traditional and still remaining power relations between those who create the media spaces that we behave in and that we use, and those who actually and the users themselves. And we have those. I mean, you know well, the producers concept and the user-generated content discussion. What I want to add to this discussion is posing the question of what happens when producers or traditional senders enter these kinds of new media environments try to use them to communicate with other users. So I'm actually putting forward the argument that the new social media environment that Second Life is an example of also affects those who get in there, who enters like producers, like in this example, the Malmö city administration, and that the lack of understanding of what Second Life as a social, cultural, and also commercial arena, a new media arena, is one of the explanations of the failed project of the virtual Malmö in Second Life. Just to tell you some short backgrounds of this project. Malmö was in 2005 named the Swedish IT City of the Year, Sveriges IT-kommun 2005. And that was due to the fact that Malmö had been working for several years very actively with new media experiments, and they tried to use the new media technologies to expand their own activities. They, for example, streamed the meetings in the city council. They used e-processing of administrative issues, and they also was the second municipality in Sweden who created a digital assistant on their website. Now everybody has this, but at the time they were really proud, and they also got a lot of attention about these new media experimenting. At the same time, there was this ongoing media hype over Second Life, and I didn't introduce Second Life, but I think that all of you are at least slightly familiar with it. It's a shared online environment, a virtual world that was created in 2003 by an American company called Linden Lab. And in 2006 and 2007, there was this huge worldwide media hype where all the mainstream media wrote about Second Life as the new world, so to speak. We will all go in there and we will all have our lives there, and Second Life is really the new Second Life. And part of this, and also following it, and also part of the creation of this hype was the second house of Sweden, which is also called the Swedish Virtual Embassy. Sweden was the second country in the world that actually established an embassy in Second Life, but Sweden was the first country in the world that said they were going to do it, so they got all the media coverage. And the news about the Swedish embassy worldwide created, got a lot of attention, and a lot of people around the world thought that, oh wow, Sweden has a virtual embassy, we must have one too. So a couple of countries followed, and today there are actually a few different national embassies in Second Life. Malmö, the city hall, the people at the city hall in Malmö and the Malmö politicians also read about this Swedish embassy, and they also thought that we must have it too. We must get into Second Life. We're the IT city of the year, and we must do this. And they did, and they searched money at the European structure funds and the NewTech, which is a Swedish agency where you can apply for money for different projects, and they also got the money, quite some money actually, to do this new media experiment. And they started to work with it, and in 2009, Malmö in Second Life was actually launched. So what happened in between the idea and the actually inauguration of Malmö in Second Life? Well, we had in late 2008, as you all know, a huge financial crisis worldwide, which meant that the initial very ambitious ideas that the Malmö city administration had worked with, they were going to have lots of digital services, a call center, and also a new kind of citizens office, a medborgarkontor, which is an old Swedish tradition, where they were actually going to elaborate all these citizens offices and everything in the real Malmö, in the real world, but also in Second Life, and they were thinking that people could go to Second Life and they can deal with their sort of citizen businesses anonymously, for example, which would be great. And they had these really huge plans for it. And they were also going to hire a lot of people who were going to staff all these offices and everything. But in between the idea and the reality of Malmö in Second Life, there was this financial crisis, and they had to cut the fundings. They couldn't hire any more people. So they actually had to close most of these ideas down. But they still had the agreement with NewTech and the European structure funds, so they had to do something. And what did they do? Okay, they launched Malmö in May 2009, and then they started to talk about it as a new way to communicate with the citizens, a new meeting point in Malmö, which is sort of something that the Malmö city has been working with, creating meeting points for people. So it became something quite different from the initial idea. Malmö in Second Life was actually launched in May 2009. They had some events, some concerts, for example, some courses. Quite a lot of this was actually created by users, people from the Swedish community in Second Life, but also, of course, from the Malmö city administration. But since they had run out of money, they had a woman in her 50s, who were completely uninterested in new media issues, who were trying to run this whole project on some 30% of her work time. So it's well, a lot of the criticism about Malmö in Second Life is that nothing actually really happened. In December 2009, they managed to create a couple of meetings in relation to the climate conference in Copenhagen, but that was basically what actually happened in Malmö in Second Life. So most other things was normal parties that the users created themselves. And what is also interesting is, as I said there, after a while, the Malmö administration realized that they had to actually put guards. They had to have guards who took care of the businesses in Malmö in Second Life, and they also had to establish some rules because they had problems with the people being there. I started with saying that this is sort of a failed project, and Malmö in Second Life has been criticized, overwhelmingly criticized from different angles, really, and from different kinds of actors, of course. There are mainly four different kinds of criticisms. The too late criticism, the too expensive criticism, the too boring criticism, and the too little civic engagement criticism. And these comes, as I said, from different angles. The too late criticism mainly was elaborate in the mainstream media. Mainstream media, especially here in Skåne, covered, of course, this project quite a lot. Sydsvenskan and the Skånska Dagbladet, the two local newspapers, wrote, of course, about this when the idea came up, when they launched it, and when they had these problems with sexual harassments in Second Life, for example. And they weren't that critic actually, but the commentators, the people commenting on their articles, were really scornful in many ways. This is example of just the sort of scornful comment, ha ha ha, biggest joke of the day. But there are, of course, also others. This saying, for example, well, this would have been great 2 years ago, but today who cares about Second Life, and so on. The too expensive criticism is was also elaborate, especially in the mainstream media and the ongoing discussion, the comments, and so on. This example is from Sydsvenskan, the large local daily here in Skåne. 1.2 million for this crap. What does it make? Some 100,000 kronor for each person who visits the shit after the inauguration. So people were really critical about the 800,000 people that Malmö got from Nutec and the European Structure Fund, but also about the 300,000 that the Malmö city actually paid for it themselves. And it was the kind of argument that how many sick people could we cure for this money, for example. The too boring criticism mainly came from the users of Second Life, from the people being in there. And Grete Linde, who works at the City Hall in Malmö, who was the person administrating Malmö, who actually got it in her knee when everybody ran away from it. She when I interviewed her, she told me that she got a lot of emails from people being in Second Life, and when she very seldom, but when she went in there, people were actually quite critical about the fact that there were no events in Second Life. And as you can see, she says, the problem with these things, as I see it, is that those who are avatars, those who go in there regularly, they almost expect us to have a full-time service and to create entertainment 7 days a week. And we can't do that. It just doesn't work. We cannot do it because we don't have the time. So from her angle, she doesn't feel like being an event bureau, but she feels that people were actually expecting her to create fun things for the users of the Malmö in Second Life. And we also have the too little civic engagement criticism, which mainly came from another part of the users of Second Life, those who there are some people in the Swedish community who really so badly want Second Life to be a Second Life, to actually work as another arena for normal activities and so on. And the quotes that are here, I have taken them from an in-world, from a Second Life magazine, a Swedish Second Life magazine called Stina. This is from their first edition in 2009, where they pose all these questions. Where is Rosengård, which is a poor suburb here in Malmö, with all its inhabitants and problems in Second Life? Where are all the schools? Where is culture? They pose all these questions. Where are the police? Where are all the civic institutions and so on? So that's also a kind of criticism that has been posed to this project. Okay, so I'm coming to my conclusion. Why was Malmö in Second Life such a failure? And there are, of course, many reasons, and depending on who you ask, you will get different answers. But, I mean, of course, you first have to put forward the economic reasons, the financial crisis that turned this democratic experiment into something much smaller than it was planned to be in the beginning. Secondly, the interplay between different kinds of media, where Second Life is only one.